There's no one in my mind more deserving than George Turrell. He has been kicking around Leaside since 1955, and I think that's the day or the year that I met him. I can remember him being at the ballpark, and he would be there somewhere around the concession stand where my mother and Ray Gobald's mother and Terry Caffrey's mother and Mrs. Hilston and Mrs. Adams would be in the concession stand, and everybody in the park knew George Turrell.
I guess for me, my first interaction with George probably goes back to 1966 as a young hockey player coming here to Leaside Gardens. And then throughout the years, my family, my son who's now 29 and my son-in-law who are 31, both have fond memories of George keeping all order downstairs throughout the facility during hockey games and tournaments. So I found George to be most invaluable to me as my tenure of president and general manager of the GTHL for the Leaside Flames, when he would always help with the tournament and keeping the busy schedule on track for ice times. And that's in the days before we had tube ice pads, so it was really critical that we could do that.
Well, I first met George in 1983 when I walked through the doors of this facility for the first time with my children in tow. I was from England and I had no idea what went on in an ice rink. And I saw this gentleman and he came over to me, and it was George. And he said, "What do you want?" And I said, "I don't know where to go." And he very kindly took me down to the dressing rooms and looked after me. And that was sort of the start of a very long relationship with George. I subsequently worked for the skating club, and he was a tremendous help for us.
George would do any task he was given with no variation. If he was told to do 10 things, he would do it with perfection and execution. George also wasn't shy about speaking his mind. In a award that he received last year from the former Premier Wynne for his contribution to the Leaside Hockey Association, George correctly pointed out to Kathleen that there was more in the award than just what the hockey arena. He had participated in girls' sports, the high school sports, and everything.
He was great to work with. Every time we had an ice show, George used to volunteer to work in the car park. Now that was very interesting. And we always had some reserved parking spots for the guest skaters and dignitaries. And woe betide anybody who tried to park in one of those parking spots, because George did not allow it.
I'd get him a new jacket, leather sleeves and Melton jacket, so he'd look just perfect the day of the tournament. And always there was a luncheon involved at Leonard's, or a breakfast at Leonard's that was up the street on Laird. So George was a great, great help to us through his volunteer service throughout the years. And really, the organization couldn't really have functioned without his help. That's 100% sure.
I grew up in Leaside. I left Leaside. I went, got married. Every 5 or 10 years I would come back into Leaside. I'd go to the ballpark. First person I'd see, George Turrell. George, you are a wonderful, wonderful man, well deserving of this award.
In politics, you hear a lot about people serving a number of prime ministers and presidents. None of those people can come close to what George did for the Leaside community and serving presidents. On behalf of the Leith Hibberts, the Alf Pennycads, the Alf Malpasses, the Jim Adams, the Howie Bernies, the Dave Stickneys of the world, I want to say thank you, George, and thank the Leaside Hall of Fame for giving George this award.